In a tournament with upsets galore, our knockout game this morning hosts two of the least surprising qualifiers. Japan and Norway are former greats of the women's game, and this World Cup offers the precious opportunity for them to return once again to the summit of the sport.
We used to be giants. When did we stop?
Write a new chapter in Wellington today. Japan have been the standout performers so far in this World Cup, scoring 11 goals in a dominant group campaign. Their opponents, Norway, have been less convincing, with only a point in their first two matches before salvaging second spot with a rampant win against the Philippines. It's a knockout clash jam full of some of the very best in the women's game, and kickoff is just under half an hour away. And lovely to have you with us this morning, and delighted to say I'm in the company of former Lioness 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 and current Aston Villa and Scotland defender Rachel Coursey. Rachel, making your World Cup debut with us today. Great to have you with us. What stood out so far in this World Cup for you?
Oh, it's very difficult to name just the one thing. I think we've seen some outstanding games. A lot of people have spoken about how that gap's really closed, but I think that does a little bit of a disservice to just the quality that we've seen. There's probably been 4 or 5 individual goals that could be goal of the tournament. You'd expect there's some real big hitter clashes coming up in this round of 16 that'll continue throughout the knockout phases. So yeah, it's been incredible, and it's fantastic to see some newer nations through to this knockout rounds, and yeah, long may it continue.
Annie, have Japan been the best team, best performers so far, would you say?
I think so. I think Japan have been the best team. I've really enjoyed watching them. Really balanced team. We've seen different styles as well. First 2 group games, they played that possession style that we're used to seeing from Japan. And then the game against Spain, you know, the 4-0 win was a counter-attacking masterclass. You know, they've played every player bar one in the squad, so obviously there's a lot, everybody's on the same page. One of the youngest, I think the youngest team now left in the knockout stages. So everything is going well for Japan. Although I think today they're going to face a different style against Norway, more direct, aerial dominance. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage it.
Yeah, actually, let's see how they shape up then and see how Japan are looking. 3 changes from their 4-0 demolition of Spain, as Annie mentioned. 2 of those changes are up front. Tanaka and Fujino both start. Manchester City midfielder Hasegawa is back in the middle too. As for Norway, 1 change from their 6-0 thrashing of the Philippines. Ada Hegerberg has been injured. She has been back in training but doesn't start. And Ingrid Engen comes in for Frida Maanum in the midfield too. So Norway had a mixed group stage. It seemed maybe there's an unsettled camp as well. One of their most experienced players, Caroline Graham Hansen, said after the Swiss goalless draw, where she was dropped to the bench, she said this: "I feel I've been on the receiving end of a raw deal. Nothing comes for free in life, but I thought I had earned a certain amount of respect. But maybe that wasn't the case." Wow, Annie. I mean,
Strong words, eh?
It felt like a little bit of dirty laundry was being aired almost.
Yeah.
This seems perhaps a dysfunctional camp.
I think that's the word. Certainly not the sort of on the same page that we can see from Japan. Those are strong words from Caroline Hansen, who we know is a top player for Norway and for Barcelona. I think there she's alluding to the fact that she feels she should start, maybe feels that the coach's decision was wrong. She scored a great goal in the last group game against Philippines, and that's all you can do as a player. If you feel that you should be playing, you've got to show that to the manager, and she certainly did. She is a fantastic winger, one of the best in the world, in my opinion. You see here, she's so good in small spaces, great little trickery, honest as well. I think she could have gone down there in the box, but you know, she's very tricky. She also plays in these sort of pocket spaces. This is a fantastic strike from distance. That is what she can do. That is what she can do for Norway. She's got to continue doing that, do the talking on the pitch. Again, you know, just quick, pacey, relies a lot on her pace, out-and-out winger. And as we said, Norway are very dominant in the air, whether it's Roman Haig up front or Hegerberg in the box. Crosses into the box are the way Norway play, and Japan are going to have to find a way of stopping Caroline Hansen. Very, very effective player for Norway.
Yeah, so no Hegerberg today, Rachel. Such a key player for Norway, but her replacement, you mentioned there, Annie, Sofie Roman Haag, replaced her in the last game, scored a hat-trick. So there is depth in this Norwegian squad. How impressed were you by her?
Yeah, very impressed. And, you know, that's not easy to do because Hegerberg's such a big name in the women's game, in football in general. And, you know, to come in, get your opportunity, you have to take it. That's international football to a T. You don't get many second chances. And, you know, in fairness to her, she did exceptionally well. Her first goal's superb technique, and, you know, her other 2 goals that followed that showed that she has a breadth of ability. It was different types of goals. And it's difficult to know where Norway are at. I think you have to give them credit because they came out, they got the result, a good performance against the Philippines. But that type of opposition is a big contrast to what they'll face today. You know, it's real quality against Japan, and this will be a big test because I think a lot of the speculation that has come is warranted because, you know, there is this public awareness now to the problems. But there was the first goal, and it's not too dissimilar to that Lauren James finish. Exceptional technique, and just likes that round the back run, just off the back shoulder of the defender, which is difficult to pick up. A good header there.
Quite a traditional forward in that sense. Didn't always see off the shoulder anymore, do we? Like waiting for that ball.
Yeah, and I think as well, you look at the quality there. That 𝓳𝓸𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 loves that ball. If you give her time, she'll just loft it into that back area, and that favours the strikers, the defenders. Is one I hate because you don't get much time to kind of adjust your position, and the forward can come and attack it. She does it there. Really, really good 3 finishes, really, you have to say. And she'll be someone who can cause problems, but our opportunities today will be far more limited.
And might that big win last time out have maybe gelled this squad together a little bit more, Annie? Would that be the hope behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think momentum is important coming into the knockout stages. A big 6-0 win, goals, you know, the likes of Hansen, you know, upset, but actually gets a goal, performs well. You know, Haig coming off the back of a hat-trick, although I think the Lauren James finish was better.
You're not biased at all, Annie, so, you know.
But, yeah, it will give them confidence. But it's going to be a tough game because, as I said, Japan are for me, the most complete team in this tournament. So it's going to be an interesting game and a tough test.
Yeah, absolutely intriguing. Well, time for a break now, but when we return, we'll take a closer look at Norway's opponent, Japan, one of the tournament's top entertainers so far.
at its best.
And look at Miyazawa bursting through. And Spain is stunned. 3 shots, 3 goals.
Forget the possession stat. I'd rather have that, wouldn't you?
It's a masterclass by Japan.
This could finish it. Spain battered by Japan.
It was a joy to watch from the Japanese side.
Wow, when you consider as well that Spain beat Switzerland 5-1 this morning, that makes that Japanese performance even more impressive, Annie. We were in the studio watching it. How do they execute that game plan just so perfectly?
Well, out of possession, they had a really solid block. They reduced the spaces, which didn't really allow Spain to build a rhythm. This ball from 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 is a weapon for Japan. Watch out for it in this game. That ball that leads into the forwards, counter-attacking. And just watch Miyazawa here. She just starts really deep. She's the counter-attacking player. That third player run, she's off. As soon as she gets it, Japan then have 2 forwards attacking the line, and this leads to a goal. Took a big deflection, but that counter-attacking style coming from that very deep block is what beat Spain from Japan's point of view. Again here, Miyazawa, deep run, she attacks the space.
So quick as well.
Quick, and then just look at this finish. Fantastic finish. And Japan have added a ruthlessness to their game that I think over the years hasn't been there. You know, they are one of the highest scorers left in the competition. It's excellent execution of finishing, and that's what they're capable of. That counter-attack, they can also possess it. They're defensively very solid as well. Very, very complete and balanced team.
But today, Rachel, Norway perhaps setting up deeper. 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓴𝓼 hinted in a pre-match conference they're going to be playing deeper. So Japan are going to have to adjust how they play again, surely. And will we see a different Japan approach today?
I think we'll see a different approach to what we saw against Spain, yes, but I think it'll be similar to the style we saw in the first 2 games. It's difficult to know how to play against them. You can sit deeper if you want, but their coordination, the timing of the runs, when you watch the speed of play, that they're very good at just filtering passes through lines. It's that momentum in the runs, just looking at the goals they scored there, it's the understanding of one another and how it comes together. They don't necessarily fire balls in, but they've got a nice cultured approach of just feeding the ball perfectly. And, when they barely break stride when you're running onto a pass, and it's very difficult to stop.
And 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 comes back into the starting lineup today, Annie. Could be the moment she comes to the fore in this knockout stage. She didn't start the last game, but is that because, again, tactically, because of how they were playing, and might the midfield be more involved today for Japan?
Yeah, I mean, we know 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 from the WSL, Manchester City and West Ham, and what she's able to do, and she just keeps the ball ticking. Very tidy player, very composed, very wise in the spaces that she takes up. So she's going to be important for Japan, as we've seen for every player that's played. But just a point, I think, they're going to be tested today, I think, on set pieces. Norway would do well to exploit set pieces. I think there's an aerial dominance and a bit of an imbalance that Norway can potentially exploit today.
Just on 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 again, Rachel, you've played against her recently in the WSL, and then you gave us a picture of what she's like to watch, but to play against, what sort of opponent will she be for Norway?
She's a fantastic player, and some people have said she's maybe not stood out, but that's exactly her role here. She sits in that midfield position. It's her responsibility to just filter passes, start the first phase of the attack. And she's virtually flawless. She almost never gives the ball away, and it was a very shrewd decision, I think, not to play in the last game. It was executed perfectly, but you can understand why she's come back in today. And just that passing accuracy, Japan's passing accuracy dropped considerably, and I think it's because she's in that central area. She picks up a lot of those second balls, and she just finds those first few passes that allow Japan to just open out and build that initial phase, like I say. And superb player, and I'm sure today they'll be relying on her a lot to do that job as well as she has done so far.
Japan seem far more united, Annie, rotating, doing whatever it takes to win, changing tactically from game to game, as opposed to perhaps a dysfunctional Norway. We've got a real clash here. How much is that going to carry on to the field, do you think?
Well, I mean, I think we've seen surprises, a lot of surprises in this World Cup. It doesn't necessarily mean just because Norway have had dysfunction up until this point that they won't find their groove today. It's going to be really interesting. Japan will be super confident, lots of goals scored, but Norway also, they might have a bit of a siege mentality building where the players are a bit angry, a bit frustrated, and actually go and show it on the pitch. you know, I'm looking forward to seeing how it pans out.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll take a quick break now, but kickoff is rapidly approaching here in Wellington as Japan take on Norway to decide our second World Cup quarter-finalist. Minutes away from kickoff here between Japan and Norway in this round of 16 match. Rachel, we've talked about the styles and how they'll play out, but who do you think is going to come out on top rather in this one?
I do think Japan will have too much in the end. I'm excited to see Tanaka up against 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. I think just naturally seeing the centre-backs deal with a forward. It's something slightly different to what we typically see in the modern game, so I think that will challenge them. But yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, what other key battles do you see playing out, Annie?
I think the battle between Hansen and Endo is going to be an interesting one. You know, Hansen, we've talked about, really effective for Norway on the wing, but Endo equally effective going forward and defensively. Really, really strong player defensively for Japan. So interesting battle.
We should be in for a real treat then. Let's get to our commentary team ready to take us through this one. It's Siobhan Chamberlain and first Sam Matterface.
And
Morning.
now, please welcome the team.
Thank you, Michelle. Good morning, everybody. The last time that Norway played Japan at a World Cup, 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, the Norway manager, scored the opening goal. Tonight, she is charged with finding a way to outwit one of the most tactically astute teams at this World Cup. Japan have scored the most goals, conceded the fewest, and have won all 3 of their group matches so far. And then Spain turned up this morning and flexed their muscles. But they had ripped Spain to pieces in a mesmerising match last week and shown their quality. Norway's tournament started with a devastating wake-up call, losing to New Zealand. Then they struggled to break down Switzerland and made it through to the knockout stages, only really because they thumped the Philippines in a show of attacking strength that might give them a bit more confidence going into this last 16 encounter. There have been 1 or 2 off-the-field issues that 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 has had to deal with. Ada Hegerberg, their star player, the first ever winner of the Ballon d'Or, pulled up in the warm-up against Switzerland and is not available from the start tonight, despite lots of discussion about it yesterday. But have they got enough to deal with one of the dark horses for the tournament? We shall find out after we've had the national anthems of Japan and Norway.
Please rise if you are able for the national anthem of Japan. Please remain standing if you
But at this tournament, sometimes it's better to be underdogs. Kick-off for a place in the quarterfinals is next. Diane Muñoz is in charge of VAR today, supporting referee 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. At the Wellington Regional Stadium, which holds fond memories for Japan, who have made several changes in each game so far. Tonight they make 3. Captain Saki Kumagai controls the defence that is yet to concede. Junendo combines craft with terrific balls from wide. But despite Rico Ueki's hold-up play being absolutely superb and central to that tactical display against Spain, she's only on the bench. Hinata Mirazawa has scored twice in each of the last 2 games. Only one Japanese player has scored 5 at a World Cup. That's Hamari Sawa. Talk over the weather, Ada Hegerberg would be fit to start for Norway, dominated yesterday's press briefings. She's not fit to start, and that means that hat-trick hero Sophie Haug starts instead. The 6-goal Norway managed in their game against the Philippines were the first goals of the tournament. But this is a team with big game players. Chelsea's Marin Mjelde in defence, Guru Reiten in midfield, and the dazzling wing play of Champions League winner Caroline Graham-Hansen. The winners will play Sweden or the reigning champions, the United States, in the quarterfinals in Auckland on Friday. Japan full of confidence and sure of themselves. Norway still haven't really recovered from that mauling by England a year ago, where they fell to pieces. And tonight, there are no second chances. A place in the last 8 is up for grabs for either Japan or Norway. Japan have made one big switch, and that is to change their kit tonight, which raised a few eyebrows, switching their dark blue traditional colours for pink and purple this evening. Siobhan Chamberlain was part of an England team that finished 3rd 8 years ago in Canada. How can Norway disrupt Japan?
Well, it's got the potential to be a brilliant game, hasn't it? Norway have had a really stuttering start and Japan have been phenomenal. But for me, Norway have got to be physical. They've got to mix it up. They've got to disrupt this Japan side if they're going to get anything from this game today.
That's been a cohesive team ethic about Japan. Very few sides have been able to match. Norway's recent record against Japan has been really poor. They've lost 6 of their last 7 meetings. The only one that they did win, Caroline Graham-Hansen, scored in the match, so did Ada Hegerberg. That was 10 years ago. On the front foot immediately. But Fajino into the box, it almost came through to Miyazawa. Early warning for Norway. And that's a mix-up again. And we should see Tuva Hansen send the ball behind, despite Aurora Mikkelsen's charge out from inside a 6-yard box.
You see she got a hand here to the first one that comes across. Did just about enough to clear the danger. But the miscommunication, as you said afterwards, wasn't really on the same page as Hansen and has conceded the corner, but rightly from the defender, clearly a danger if it's there.
90 seconds gone, and already there's a bit of panic amongst the Norwegian defence. Low ball into Tanaka, who then commits a foul. Goal against Spain and Zambia, 2 assists against Costa Rica for Mina Tanaka.
I began by saying Norway had to be physical and disrupt Japan, and it starts off with Japan being physical and conceding the first foul against Norway.
Tanaka, who has replaced 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 in the starting lineup tonight. And they have been brilliant in terms of speed and technique on the break, but defensively they've been impressive too. How? Certainly, I think the pattern suggests that Norway are going to let Japan have a little bit more of the ball than the Japanese managed against Spain. Spain dominated so much that Japan were able to just wait, turn the ball over and then counter-attack. Japan won that game 4-0 with 22% possession. But they have shown they can dominate the ball as well in the wins over Costa Rica and Zambia.
I think Norway would have potentially, well, they would have definitely watched that Japan-Spain game, and they'll think today, we can do what Japan did to Spain to Japan. Sit back, absorb the pressure, let them have the ball, and be ruthless on the counter.
Shimizu. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. It's Kumagai. Hasegawa. Directly trying to find Mina Tanaka. There is Futoshi Kida. It was clear that his team had switched their mentality into knockout mode. They knew that there is no room for error now. Hasegawa of Manchester City, great technique, good at taking players on. She had a really good season with City actually in the WSL.
She had a brilliant season. It wasn't Manchester City's best season in the WSL by their standards. They didn't achieve what they'd have wanted to, but she was definitely one of the standout players, and she'll be looking to grow further within that side this season.
Takahashi. It's a good take from Aurora Mikkelsen.
That's what you need from your goalkeeper, especially after the earlier miscommunication. You want to know that she's there, coming for everything, clearing up. Good, clear communication to let your defenders know that you're coming. And it gives you that confidence as a defender to know if the ball goes through, it's all under control behind me.
You might recognise 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 from her time, short time in charge of the England team, in between Phil Neville and Serena Wiegman. Also took the Team GB team to the Olympics in Tokyo in 2021. Fondly remembered in Norway, and was delighted to get the opportunity to be the manager. She won the World Cup as a player with them 28 years ago. Good touch, not to Endo. Crosses in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, where it almost scooted through to Ayoma Fujino. Hasegawa set it wide, and Shimazu with an effort, which was a bit of a cross-come shot from Risa Shimazu.
It's a brilliant whipped-in ball by Jun Endo, though, from that left-hand side. She's known for those whipped-in deliveries, those early balls in behind the back line. And as you said here, Shimizu just couldn't quite make her decision about whether it was a cross or a shot. But I think we've seen already today Shimizu and Endo being so much higher up the pitch than they were against Spain. Against Spain, they almost sat back into a back five and were forced to defend. They were comfortable with that. But today already, even in this opening 5 or 6 minutes, we've seen how much higher they are up on the pitch.
Ingrid Engen making a slight mistake as that ball came into the penalty area. She's the change for 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 in the heart of that midfield, which is an interesting one. We'll keep an eye on it. Likes to drop deep and into the back line quite a lot. Does Engen, good defensive player, improved immeasurably since she went to Barcelona. Here she is on the ball. Madam Yelda. Engen again. Yelda. Norway plan to put the brakes on Japan. But stopping an attack that has scored 11 goals already is easier said than done. This is 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 working it wide. Miyazawa. Well, she went for the spectacular.
After her performances that we've seen so far in this World Cup, she's entitled to go for the spectacular. She's been brilliant for Japan. Not quite as brilliant with that shot, but it shows the confidence levels that she's currently playing with to have the confidence to take that strike from there.
Well, he looked pretty satisfied with it, didn't he?
He definitely did.
I think he's been pretty satisfied with the performances so far for Japan, but it has been a Women's World Cup where you think you know who's going to progress or win a game, and then the opposite happens. So they've got every right to be a little bit cautious, I think, against a Norwegian team that at their very best, playing to their potential, have some real talent in the team. Howe, who's an aerial threat to be concerned about. Away by Hannah Takahashi.
Talk about the talent that Norway have got. They've got so many players, especially in that midfield space and those wide areas moving forwards. We've obviously got Hegerberg that's on the bench, Manum that's also on the bench. For me, I'd have her in my starting lineup. And 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, who plays phenomenally well for Chelsea out in those wide areas. For me, I think she's wasted centrally. Her deliveries and her attacking play in wide areas is brilliant.
Mathilde Havigen, goes to Maren Mjelde of Chelsea. Engen wanted it played through a tight gap, which was closed by Hasegawa. Havigen bringing it over the halfway line. Hansen played that just behind 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. It's a foul by 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Got the hat-trick against the Philippines.
Japan just so comfortable with the ball in tight spaces. They'll play out from the back, 1 and 2 touch, all across the pitch. They're all technically excellent players.
And the attack again, searching for Hasegawa, who broke from midfield. Tanaka, such a mobile striker, Tanaka. Not as tall and physical as 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, but certainly very sprightly. Drop deep, find pockets. Miyazawa trying to get away from 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 and Valorenka.
Strong defending there from Mjelde. She's going to have a busy afternoon up against Junendo. We've seen already how much higher up she is on the pitch, and she's such a talented player for Japan, and one with brilliant deliveries that Mjelde's going to have to stay as tight as possible.
That terrific ball for, I think it was the first goal against Spain, where she whips it round the back of the defence. Or live long in the memory. Hasegawa. Regino. Nagano into the box, and it's flipped behind for another corner. Defender got there first. It might have been 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 who got in front of her goalkeeper there. Umagai was up there applying the pressure.
It's a really well-worked corner from Japan. The delivery into that danger area. Mikkelsen came and got nowhere near it. And thankfully for Norway, Haug managed to make the connection.
Endo with the corner, another short one. Hasegawa changing the angle of the attack. The idea was right, but didn't get executed with the precision required.
Spoke at the beginning, and I know Annie mentioned it in the build-up about the importance of Norway from set pieces against Japan, but from this opening 12 minutes, we've seen potentially how important Japan's set pieces are as well. There hasn't looked the confidence with that backline and goalkeeper in knowing who's coming for which balls, and that's a danger.
Well, we played a little bit with Aurora Mikkelsen, didn't he? Worked with her at Manchester United, at Tottenham as well. First choice since 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 took over. Endo bursting down the left, just a little bit of a heavy touch. Was there a little nick there? Sliding 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. It's another corner.
𝓣𝓸𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 there with the sliding challenge, having to track back. Probably could have let it go had she realised. Spoke about Mikkelsen as well. Yes, she's still a relatively unexperienced goalkeeper at international level, only with a handful of caps. So this is her first major tournament where she's actually been a starting keeper.
Oh, but Fujino to take the corner kick over on the far side. The clutch of 5 pink and purple shirts. And Tanaka is one of those. Stopped by centre forward Sophie Roman-Haug.
Again, it's a brilliant delivery from the set piece. Tanaka that makes the initial contact. Directed it really well. Thankfully, though, for Norway, Roman-Haug in exactly the right place to make the clearance of that back post space.
Did well, Tanaka, to get up there. As you've already mentioned, Japan showing their prowess from set pieces. I've already mentioned Caroline Graham-Hansen over on that far side. Getting a little touch of the ball now.
She's a player that Norway need to bring into the game. She's their star player on the pitch. She's technically excellent, can drive at players, so direct, clinical as well, and without her on the ball, Norway don't have much chance.
It's a great switch of play by Tanaka. Shimazu. Nani sends it wide. Wanted it back again. Miyazawa's ball into the box. Tanaka is lurking. He takes a deflection. It might sneak in. It has. Aurora Mikkelsen collapses into a goal. The Japanese run away celebrating. It may well have taken a deflection off Engen. Miyazawa's ball from deep takes a little nick off of 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, and Mikkelsen couldn't get down to it. And Japan have an early lead.
An early lead that they rightly deserve. Them working it into wide areas. As the ball whips in, Engen just sticks out a leg. Completely wrong foot Mikkelsen. She's in a good place to deal with the first ball, but just couldn't move her feet in time. Miyazawa's brilliant delivery into the box, asking questions of that back line. And Japan with the very, very deserved lead.
She was the change for Frida Maanum. But Ingrid Engen has inadvertently turned beyond her own goalkeeper. And Japan have a lead, a precious lead, as they look to qualify for the quarterfinals. Ball over the top towards Tanaka, flicked it on but couldn't find Away through to 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. That's exactly what Norway didn't want to do, which was concede the first goal in this game. And 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 already had a little bit of an uphill battle trying to overcome this team. Has got a bigger job on her hands now.
Especially when we've already seen how comfortable Japan are without the ball. Saying, go on, you have the ball, we'll deal with what we need to deal with. We've got the shape, we've got the organisation, we've now got the lead, and we know that we are absolutely lethal on the counter-attack when you have to come out and press us.
They need to get into the Japanese half more often. They haven't got. I don't think they've had an incisive ball into the final third since the start of the game. They've had a little bit of possession in opposition territory, not much. Only 38% possession so far for Norway, 51 for Japan. Here's Emily Harvey. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Problem for Norway is that Japan are an even better counter-attacking team than they are at dominating possession. Now that Norway have got to force the issue, that gives Japan extra dimension on the break. Sit and soak and then wait before they want to attack.
They can do, and it now makes it comfortable for them. They're completely happy without possession.
And they're happy to pick it up like that. Urasawa with Tanaka bursting through. It's opening up for Urasawa, whose shot hits the back of the defender. You have to be a little bit careful about her arm placement there. That was a prime example. Japan winning the ball high up again. Shimazu. Nagano. Minami. Nagano again. Hasegawa. Nagano, space out wide. They go centrally instead. Endo wants the ball on that far side. Norway trying to get numbers back into the penalty area. Oh, it's good football from Japan. Endo's going to try and get there and does. Tries to pull it back. Goalkeeper comes and it's smuggled behind. It's going to be a Japanese corner. Nicholson's not happy about it.
He's come to get the punch. It potentially looked like it might have taken a nick off an arm.
I think they have now changed their mind and they're going to give a full kick.
That's why you make complaints as goalkeepers. You get listened to in the end. Speaking from experience.
I was going to say. Although not now, apparently, this season in the men's game in the EFL and the Premier League and the WSL when it comes back in October, there's going to be a clampdown on all of that. Not more yellow cards for dissent towards officials. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Delivery's good from the wide areas. Right turn! Equaliser! 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 for Norway with their first attempt on goal. Drags them straight back into the game. It's the first goal that Japan have conceded at this tournament. And it's 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 of Chelsea and Norway who has equalised. And what a vital time to do it.
It comes from a direct ball from Mikkelsen. And it's brilliant direct play from Norway. As you said, their first attack, 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 holds the line so well. Her deliveries have been phenomenal this tournament. And 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 rises highest to head it into that far corner and give the goalkeeper absolutely no chance to make the save. And Norway are well and truly back in this game.
Quite frankly, that's a terrific header from 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, who scored a penalty against the Philippines. And I think for a long time, maybe, was one of the most underrated players in the WSL. 11 assists and 9 goals last season, and the big mural on Portobello Road suggests that that's no longer the case. And she's a massive player for this team too, and that's a huge goal.
It's a huge goal, and she's definitely no longer underrated. The last couple of seasons, she has been Chelsea's best player, in my opinion. She's been outstanding, she's consistent, assists, goals. She gives you everything. She's playing in a slightly different role for this Norway side. And I said I preferred her out wide, but the fact that she's central gives her that goal today.
Terrific. And that might just give Norway a little bit more confidence. It'll be interesting to see how Japan deal with this, Siobhan, because up until now, everything has gone their way.
Everything has gone their way, and they were so comfortable until that happened. But it's a bit like what we saw in the Japan-Spain game. Spain were comfortable, they had the ball, they had possession, and Japan were ruthless on the counter. Norway look like they're trying to do the same.
Out a little bit more about 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, the Japanese coach now. Such a good ball from 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓴𝓼 down that right-hand side as well. Her delivery into the box can be spectacular at times, and that was a pinpoint cross for 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰.
It was. I love watching 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 play. She didn't start the opening game. She doesn't play as much as I'd like to see, and I know a lot of the Manchester United fans would love to see her on the pitch more often for Manchester United. Because of that delivery, she's such a talented player.
𝓳𝓸𝓷𝓴 has got a team, has seen a team get back on level terms until Harvey will take this free kick, and it's gone long up towards 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Casual from Graham Hansen. Norway know that Japan are tactically flexible, and I think probably would have had a plan for the unpredictability. 𝓳𝓸𝓷𝓴's got big personalities to deal with, and balancing that has been difficult at times. There was an issue after she dropped Caroline Graham Hansen after the second game, when Graham Hansen came out saying she felt disrespected. It's interesting that after 𝓳𝓸𝓷𝓴 named her first squad as well, Graham Hansen decided to take a sabbatical, let's say, from the Norwegian national team. Miyazawa, Junendo.
Spoke about some of the issues that obviously the Norwegian team have, some of the other issues that other teams have had. It's something you never hear about Japan. They're always so calm, composed. They just get the job done. They turn up, they play good football. They more often than not win. And there doesn't seem to be the drama that comes alongside them that you get with a lot of other teams, which helps them.
Tanaka from distance. A little bit inaccurate from Mina Tanaka.
Better defending from Norway, though. They're in position, they're organised, they've got good shape. They're forcing Japan to have to take a few more pop shots from further back. We saw it earlier from Miyazawa, now from Tanaka. I think they'll be comfortable with Japan if they say, you can take shots from 25, 30 yards. We're happy with that. We just don't want you threading balls through, breaking us down, whipping those balls in from wide areas.
But despite the fact that she scored the own goal in the game, actually Engen's position, where she's in front of that back four, screening them and dropping into it every now and again, just helps out preventing that.
Most definitely. She's an important player in that position. She's effective. She just got a little bit unlucky with that touch that inadvertently ended up in the back of the net.
Can play as a centre-back as well. It on. Emily Harvey was coming in from the left-hand side. Engen forward. It's a good turn. The effort from Ryton is too far away. She thinks it took a deflection on the way through, the goal scorer. Lots still to come on ITV over the course of the next few days, and what a big weekend we've got. Sweden against USA, live tomorrow from 9:30. The winners of this game play the winners of that game in the quarterfinals of this World Cup. That's ITV1 and STV. And then at Wembley tomorrow afternoon, we will bring you live coverage of Arsenal against Manchester City, the FA Community Shield, the start of the men's domestic season, the top flight anyway. There's been quite a bit of football already. As far as the EFL is concerned, you'll get highlights of that a little bit later on ITV as well. Wall-to-wall football this weekend, just how we like it.
Spoke about the importance of Whitney Engen in that position. It looks like she's dropping slightly deeper at the moment. Norway reverting to a bit of a back five to deal with the pressure from Japan and how they're exploiting those spaces.
I think that's a change from earlier in the game where she was screening the front of the defence, and now has dropped back in it when they don't have the ball, Norway. This is Tanaka. Some craft to break them down. Endo, looking for Hasegawa, Engen away, comes out to Fujino. Still trying to get down the outside. It's blocked by 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, and it's out for another Japanese corner.
Strong defending by Hansen there, but this is all caused by the original movement from Tanaka. She's pulling off Whitney Engen, that's dropping into that back line and finding those gaps in between, and then they can create the opportunities to get those deliveries into the box.
Endo will take the corner. They've gone short with them all so far, and again Hasegawa whipped that one into the near post. Tanaka got hold of it. It's back with Endo. Graham Hansen had to be very careful there. That's threaded through down that left-hand side towards Minami. Couldn't quite get it under control, but the idea was right. With a big job to do, keeping hold of that defence, trying to keep them in those two banks of 5 and then a 4. Trying to shut out the Japanese attackers, closing down the spaces, making it difficult for them to find a way through. Hasegawa looking for Shimazu, got round the back, took a touch off her last, and it's out for a goal kick to Norway.
Good shape there from Hansen in that wide left position. As they've dropped into that back five, they can cover more spaces, they can screen more areas, and it forces Japan then to have to go a little bit wider, a little bit deeper. And at the moment, Norway look more comfortable in the way they're defending it.
Prior to today, Japan have only conceded 2 goals in their previous 7 matches. Difficult to break down themselves, but Guru Reiten has found a way through for Norway. The first goal that Japan have conceded at this tournament. Engen. Reiten trying to turn and get down that right-hand side. It's a little bit late by her as she collided with June Endo.
Looked like a painful collision more than anything for both players. Nothing malicious in the tackle, just a little bit late. Thankfully, both players up on their feet. 2 stars for both teams.
Norway looked a little bit disjointed against New Zealand. They certainly were better against Switzerland, had a few chances to score. Hilda and Sophie Roman Haug had opportunities in that game. It's difficult to measure them against the Philippines. They knew they had to win it. The Philippines were likely to be eliminated anyway. They scored 6 goals. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 got a hat-trick in that match. This is a huge step up for Norway. And initially it looked as if they were going to suffer, but they dragged themselves back into the game. Adjusted and changed their shape. But have given away a free kick here in a dangerous position.
A little bit of a rash decision there from Whitney Engen, come charging out into the back of 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. It's really well to come out and hold on to it and win the foul, but as we've seen from the opening 15 minutes or so, less so in the latter stages. Japan's set pieces have been brilliant and they've asked lots of questions of this Norwegian back line.
Just uncomfortable with what looks like a high line. Just dropped a little bit now as the ball comes in from Hasegawa. Lead away by Engen. Miyazawa. Fujino. Tanaka. Sizing up the effort. Struck it hard, that. I think Naramyoda had her arm by her side. Back into the box it goes, and then there was a bit of wrestling going on, which the referee, 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 of Brazil, spotted, dealt with.
Japan are just so comfortable with their style of play. They attack with so many bodies. You had 3 bodies there in and around that ball when it dropped. Yes, they gave the foul away. But when you commit that many bodies to the attack, when you've got so many bodies close to each other to interact and engage with each other, rotate, keep the movement going, 1 and 2 touches, it gives you so many more opportunities to score goals.
Another foul. Another free kick. 12 minutes to go before half-time. Japan have won each of their last 4 games. Their last defeat was to Denmark back in April. We talked a lot about Japan being ruthless in their last game. They were 3-0 up at half-time against Spain, scoring with their 3 touches in the opposition penalty area. It's Norway who have been ruthless in this game. They've had 1 real opportunity, well, only 1 on target, and they've scored with it.
When you play against teams like Japan that aren't going to give you lots of opportunities, you've got to be ruthless, you've got to be clinical, and you've got to take them. And if they don't go in the back of the net, you've got to at least make the goalkeeper work.
Hansen immediately challenged by Fujino. He's one of the newest stars of the team, Fujino. He's only 19 years of age. One of the newest stars of the team. Just doesn't lack any confidence, that's for sure.
Young stars has been the theme of this tournament so far, hasn't it? We've seen Lauren James, Dumornay, Caicedo. They've been the ones right in the headlines, and it's brilliant to see.
They're forward. Tanaka foraging back. Graham Hansen wins it back for Norway and wins the throw. That goal by 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 was the 100th World Cup goal that Norway have scored. And they've been mainstays, as have Japan, of Women's World Cups. And the USA and Germany have got 100 goals in World Cups. Norway have joined them. Rijten. Graham Hansen with a cross. Lead away. Takahashi did well. Endo gets it up the pitch quickly. Tanaka held it brilliantly. Now Shimizu can join the attack. Brilliant. Just didn't quite come off Hasegawa. The way they knitted together the football was good from Japan. That was promising. Ambitious reverse ball, which was aimed for Shimizu.
Norway are definitely growing into this game more. They've got more confidence, which in turn is allowing them to commit more bodies to the attack, bringing people out of those spaces, which is then giving Japan the ability to counter, and that's exactly the game plan they're looking for.
There's two good coaches with two good tactical minds, trying to outwit one another.
Most definitely, and I think 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 has been outstanding for Japan so far. We've seen from Sarina Wiegman as well, the ability to make changes in-game and to formations and to tweak your tactics is so important if you're going to go far in this tournament.
Makes a darling behind. Cleared by Hansen. So from the park with a bit left on Takahashi. Hasegawa takes advantage of heavy touch from Tuva Hansen. Shimizu. Hasegawa. Again, Norway getting back into shape really well. Endo being asked to chase after that. She keeps it in initially. And wins her team a throw down by the corner flag, which I think is probably the best she could have hoped for.
Yeah, definitely. It was Hasegawa's through ball to her. It's slightly overhit in the end, but what I like about Hasegawa, she doesn't just go back to keep possession. She turns and faces up and plays direct balls through to those wide areas wherever possible.
Zawa back to Endo. So congested now when Japan get the ball on the edge of the Norwegian penalty area.
Japan almost need to let Norway have the ball, give them a little bit of confidence, draw them out of shape, give them the opportunity to attack, because then Japan will find those gaps that they love to exploit.
There's a bit of space for Endo on the far side. And they found her now. There's 5 waiting in the centre. There's a lot of red shirts in there as well. Nagano, Miyazawa. Shot was blocked by Mari Mjelde. Japan initially emerged with the ball, but they've lost it. Now Caroline Graham Hansen can lead the attack. It's brilliant defending by Moeka Minami. Held up Graham Hansen. That's one of the beauties of this Japanese defence. When they do stifle you, they stifle you in an area which is probably 10-15 yards away from their goal, which is why they hardly concede many shots on target. It's 5 now across the tournament as a whole. Shimizu winding up to hit that first time. It did just sit nicely for it. The opportunity was there.
As it comes across, Tanaka just gets the bounce, lays it off. The slight flick. Don't think Shimizu saw it till quite late. She didn't read the bounce early enough. Got there just in time and made the connection, but couldn't quite get that down on target.
Played for West Ham in the WSL last season. 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, 27 years of age, gets up and down really well from that right flank.
See there with her higher up the pitch, she's comfortable playing high up. She's also comfortable sitting back as more of an orthodox right back. She's a very talented player that works so hard for this team, and I think that's the story of the whole Japanese side. They're technically brilliant, but they work hard off the ball to earn the right to play well with the ball.
𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, one of the youngest members of the squad. 4th start in a row for her. That's 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. As he pushes it towards the corner, 𝓳𝓸𝓲 is chasing. Can't mind keeping Norway pending at this end of the field.
Good work right there from 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 did a similar job against Spain. The work rate was phenomenal, pressing that Spanish back line, not giving them time and opportunity. And 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓲 has been doing the same thing today.
That's the other thing, isn't it? They do have weapons on the bench. They've got a deep squad, Japan. Hasegawa trying to throw it through to Endo. Almost. And she knows it. She just hesitated at the last, which meant that she didn't quite get on the end of the ball, which was probably hit pin perfect.
It was a beautiful threaded pass through from Hasegawa. I think she thought that Bielda was going to get that touch. I think she misread it, thought the touch was coming, stuttered, as you said. Otherwise, she would have been in, cleaning on goal, and with her talent, that would have been nestled into the back of the net, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think they all know that that was very, very close to being perfect. It's certainly a team that's improved significantly after a poor Tokyo Olympics. Hitoshi Ikeda has been a big part of that. The approach of this team, the humbleness of this team. Takahashi. 90 seconds before half-time. One goal from Engen and a equaliser from 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Set this game up perfectly. Shimizu. Hasegawa. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 was waiting. Bielda was there to stretch and get it away. They won it back again. It almost bounced in favour of 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓲. Mikkelsen read that and was very quick to come and smother.
Good front foot goalkeeping from Mikkelsen. Again, Japan with bodies. But 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 just couldn't quite react first.
She's challenging for the ball and ending up in a bit of a heap inside her own half. Play continues. Traditionally, Norway haven't been too good at coming back from deficits in World Cup matches. Only twice have they come back to win. The semi-final against Sweden in 1991 and the group stage game with Canada in 2007. They come from behind here to level things up against the well-fancied Japanese. Endo with the cross towards 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷, away by Bielda. Further clear by 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, but picked up again by Nagano. Again, Japan getting the ball to the edge of the box, but there's such a tight line of 5 Norwegian defenders that it's difficult to pierce.
It is. Norway are organised, they're compact.
Good ball onto 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Miyazawa couldn't get hold of it after Engen's challenge. 2 minutes just of added time at the end of the first 45. That's a novelty.
It is, and it shows how well this game's flowed. It's been a brilliant game of football so far. Entertaining.
if you're out and about today going off to an EFL game, you may well notice there's quite a bit of additional time in your matches too. I was at Sheffield Wednesday, and 9 minutes of added time in that game. In the end, look into the air, poked forward by Tanaka, but maybe just left something on Ingen.
Just a little bit late from Tanaka. I said I don't think it was intentional. Engen swung to make the clearance and Tanaka fully trying to come in to make the block. But rightly so, a free kick for Norway there.
Good is Mina Tanaka. And how blessed Japan in those forward areas. Be an interesting half-time break. See how these two coaches try and forge ahead in the second half of this last 16 game. A place in the quarterfinals up for grabs for one of these two. They'll play the winners of Sweden against USA, which is live on ITV1 tomorrow. Another absorbing half of football at the Women's World Cup. Engen's own goal put Japan in the lead. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰's side fought their way back in with 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰's header after 20 minutes to level things up. Nothing to separate Japan and Norway at half-time. We've got analysis on the way from 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 and 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, but at the break, it is Japan 1, Norway 1.
Welcome back. Japan took the lead against Norway. Hinata Miyazawa with the hopeful cross, and Ingrid Engen turned into her own goal to make it 1-0. But 5 minutes later, Norway were level. A terrific header from 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. So 1-1 is how we stand at half-time. Annie and Rachel alongside me. Rachel, when we look at how the game's played out, so different to Japan's last performance, having much more of the ball, but they've not had a shot on target yet. What have you made of it?
Yeah, you'd say they've controlled the game, but without causing too many problems for Norway. And I think 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 has been a standout, as you expect her to be. Filtered a few lovely through balls, didn't quite come to anything, but you can see them just probing. And I think it'll become more and more difficult for Norway if they allow Japan to keep dictating. But in saying that, they did exceptionally well to go behind and get themselves back in the game, so it's all to play for.
Let's take a closer look at 1-0, Annie. And goodness me, the lack of communication here seems to be the standout thing, but take us through what you saw.
Yeah, it's really interesting shape from Norway. They're happy to let Japan have the ball. 68 possession from Japan, which you'd expect, but actually Japan haven't really made most of that possession because of this shape. You see here 5-4-1, more than happy to let Japan have the ball. Loads of bodies behind the ball, so they've reduced that space. But this is what happens when there's a lack of communication here. Engen doesn't get good contact on the ball. Mikkelsen, I think, should communicate. There's no one behind Engen there. She needs a big shout. Take your time, bring it down, something, obviously in Norwegian. But do you know what I mean, Rach? It seems there, you're a centre-back, you need a shout there, don't you?
Absolutely, and for me, I don't think the goalkeeper needs to get involved.
I mean, it's waist height, Rach. Why is she coming for it?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. And, Engen's actually, firstly, she's not a centre-back. She's obviously come in today to sit in that midfield role, and we've seen her drop into that central position. I don't think that's natural for her. That type of ball, it's uncomfortable to deal with because you're thinking, I should have got my feet round quicker, and you're thinking, I'm not sure what's behind me, so I'm going to dangle a leg. But she's still 14 yards out from the goal, so I think for me, the goalkeeper stays. They've got cover around the back, 2 more defenders there. There is one forward, but let your defenders deal with that. And because you see her sort of stutter step when you see the angle behind the goal, I think just stay in your goal, let defenders deal with that. And if she had, I think she comfortably picks that up.
But either way, she communicates, that doesn't happen. Engen brings down the ball, right, no forward behind me, and then they play. So just a disconnect there for that first goal.
But better from Norway, Rachel, for the second 1-1. And this was a fantastic header, wasn't it?
It was an exceptional header, and it comes from direct play. Japan will be disappointed. I think Nagano and 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷, you'll see in a second, they're a little bit passive here, just centrally. They've 7-8 players behind the ball there. Allow that ball to go in the wide area. That 3-4-3 shape does that. But here, just the movement from right in, she has to kind of take a shuffle step away from goal. But exceptional placement. The goalkeeper has no chance right into that side netting. It's a wonderful header, and it really gave Norway a lifeline, because I think up to this point they went behind. They've chosen to sit in, which, when you do that, you don't want to concede in the early stages. They did, but great response from them, and now the game is wide open, like we've said.
Yeah, she's not the tallest either, so did incredibly well there, Annie.
Yes, us small attacking players can score headers. It's interesting, isn't it, that we talked about the aerial dominance, we talked about the crosses from Norway, and really important goal for Norway coming back into it, because they've sat back, they were ready to concede. So it'll be interesting how they come out in the second half.
Absolutely. Well, let's just take a look at the earlier game today, and this was Spain taking on Switzerland. They took an early lead. Aitana Bonmati here with some lovely footwork to eventually get it out and get the shot away. This made it 1-0. But then there was one of the most bizarre own goals you'll ever see from 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, almost from the halfway line. She doesn't look up, catches the keeper off guard, and that made it 1-1. But then Spain dominated. After this, 𝓳𝓸𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 with the header. Made it 2-1. And then Bonmati with more brilliant footwork here to make it 3-1. And even before half-time, it was 4-1. Kadina with this goalmouth scramble with the finish, scoring at the right end. 4-1 at half-time. And into the second half, Jennifer Hermoso made it 5-1. So Spain will play either the Netherlands or South Africa in the quarterfinals. The first time they've reached this stage in a World Cup. Okay, it's time for a break now, but before we go, we always love goals flying in here on ITV. But in this tournament, there's an extra reason to enjoy them. It's our World Cup competition.
Time now for your chance at home to win an amazing £30,000.
Match between Japan and Norway. 1-1 at half-time. Let's get you back to your commentary team for the second half. Siobhan Chamberlain in first, Sam Matterface.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Japan haven't had been as productive in second half of matches at this World Cup as they have been in first halves of games, but that's mainly down to the fact that they've usually got themselves into a commanding position by now. That isn't the case in this last 16 game between them and Norway. And as you were saying at half-time, there has not been officially a shot on target in the first half for Japan, despite the fact that they led through that own goal from Ingrid Engen. What are you expecting in the second half in the way that Japan changed their approach, Siobhan Chamberlain?
I'm not necessarily expecting too much different too early. I think they'll be patient, they trust their process. I think if anything, they'll look to get it down the wide areas a little bit earlier. They might try and drag Norway out of position. They've defended really well, they've been organised, they've had a good low block. If Japan can move the ball around a little bit quicker, get around those wide areas and deliver the ball across, then they can have a more of a threat.
Just after 10 a.m. London time, 11 a.m. in Norway, 9 p.m. local time in Wellington, and 6 p.m. in Tokyo. But lots of eyes on this particular game, an eagerly anticipated clash between these two nations that have been stalwarts of the women's game. It's the 9th World Cup for Japan. They're one of only 7 sides who have played in every edition, including Norway. And it's why they're so desperate to reinvigorate this team. Winners in 2011, losers in 2015. Hasegawa, and a snapshot from the edge of the area. Probably goes down as the first shot on target.
It probably does. A well-worked move from Japan. Hasegawa finding herself in a great space at the edge of the box. Just couldn't quite get the connection to trouble Mikkelsen. Comfortable save for her in the end, and she'll be pleased to get a nice early touch.
Mikkelsen away. Look on was by Emily Harvey of Roma, who was left out of the Euro squad by Martin Sjögren, who ended up having a bit of a tough end to his Norwegian tenure.
Anyone that watched the Euros last summer would have witnessed that Norway side.
Motherable meltdowns. Well, England did a job on them, let's just put it that way. Ripped them apart. 8-0 the final score, which was inconceivable. Walking up to that game and preparing for it, that sort of scoreline wasn't on anyone's mind.
An absolutely phenomenal, ruthless performance from England.
Guraiten trying to turn it round the corner for Haug, who was coming back the other way. Guraiten complaining that her teammates weren't on the same wavelength there. Whoever wins this game will get the luxury of staying in New Zealand all the way to the final. The United States were based here for the first 3 games, but have had to go to Melbourne for their match with Sweden tomorrow live on ITV1. Miyazawa speeding through the centre. Caught by Marion Yelder, and that just shows the class of defender she is. She timed that impeccably, that intervention, when it looked like Miyazawa was getting away from her.
And that's what Miyazawa does best. Released into those areas, we've seen her ruthlessness against Spain, but Mjelde timed to perfection, as you said. Brilliant covering, defending, just did enough to put the pressure on.
Scored that nerveless penalty against Lyon in the Champions League, Marion Yelder, in the last minute of extra time. Ended up forcing a penalty shootout for Chelsea. Very much a calming influence on and off the pitch, Marion Yelder. Junendo. Space here for Miyazawa. Trying to slip it in towards Hasegawa, who set it back. No one continued the run. Shimazu, deflection and in. Japan back in front. And with the amount of goals that they've scored in this competition, there was always at least another one in them. West Ham 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 with only a third international goal, and what a big goal it could be.
A huge goal. Japan committed bodies to the attack, and it was 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 with the back pass, which didn't make it to her teammate. And it was 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 that was there to pounce. Deflected into the net. And a tough opening to this second half for Norway.
What on earth was the idea behind the back pass? Inside your own penalty area, was that the wisest of moves?
Judging by the result and the goal, definitely not. She didn't have the awareness that 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 was coming in. She was relaxed, played it back. But 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 was there, ready to pounce.
That's the energy that we were talking about in the first half with 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. She will run all day. She'll keep applying the pressure from that wide right-hand side. She'll get up and play very, very high. And Japan lead by 2-1.
Japan now have the opportunity to just sit back. Let Norway have possession if they want to. Control the game, dictate the tempo.
Miyazawa, Tanaka, still Tanaka, does well, just couldn't bring it back. She is such a danger.
She is a Miyazawa out on this left-hand side, combining with Endo. Tanaka couldn't quite get her foot right round the ball. But Japan not looking like they're sitting back. They're going for that next goal too.
Winners in 2011, runners-up 2015, a final they'd probably rather forget in Vancouver.
After a semi-final that England would probably rather forget. I definitely would.
It's one of the most heartbreaking moments watching the Lionesses. Did show great mental character, I thought, in that bronze medal match in 2015 to come back from the heartbreak of that semi-final defeat to Japan and power through to finish on the podium.
It was brilliant. It was the first time we'd ever beat Germany. First time we'd medalled at a World Cup. And for people that tell you the bronze medal match doesn't matter, when you've got a bronze medal and you've beaten Germany for the first time, it definitely does matter.
Well, that was a bone of contention, actually, in the last World Cup, when England didn't really seem to, or certainly the England setup didn't seem to apply the same resonance to the bronze medal match against Sweden in 2019.
I think when you win a medal, yes, ultimately you want to win gold, you want to be in that final, but you want to win every single football match you take part in. And for me, and for every member of that team, I'm sure that bronze medal was important and special.
No, you wear it every day.
Don't give away my secrets.
Well, Norway have got to find a way to come back from 2-1 down after dragging themselves back from 1-0 down. Haug trying to release Reiten.
Norway have shown they've got the character to come back from being a goal down. For me, it'll be interesting how fit Hegerberg is, and if they need her, and if they bring her on.
Regina. Same radar as 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰.
See the finish again there. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 just picking the pocket of the Norwegian defender.
It's great anticipation, isn't it? She saw that the 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 was not going to reach it and she could nab it. She did that, and within a touch and a half, Japan are in front.
It's excellent front foot play. She's playing as a right wing back type player, but she's so high up the pitch at times, but she does her job to get back and defend at the same time.
Norway have been a big part of the 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 of women's football for a long time. There's experience in their ranks too. I mentioned earlier about the fact that the only time in the last 7 meetings between these two that they have won, Caroline Graham Hansen was on the score sheet, and that was 10 years ago, which shows you how long she's been around. Ada Hegerberg scored that day too. That was 10 years ago. She's still around, albeit struggling with injury and on the bench tonight. Norway, despite their longevity, are yet to win a World Cup round of 16 match in normal time. Beat Australia 4-1 on penalties following a 1-1 draw 4 years ago, having lost to England in 2015. Steph Horton and Lucy Bronze scored that day, I think.
Lucy Bronze's was an absolute rocket of a goal, announcing herself onto the world stage.
Steph Horton scored a couple of rockets in her time too. It's a foul by Graham Hansen. Only came back into the setup in April. 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, 4 World Cup goals so far. And one of the players scored 5 for Japan at a single edition.
She was so close to being through and getting that 5th, if not for that timely challenge from Maren Mjelde earlier in the second half.
It's been a good start to the second half from Japan, who look in control again. The winner of this game plays the reigning champions, the United States, or Sweden, the most played World Cup game, which gets another run out tomorrow. Miyazawa. And again, Endo's gone on. Miyazawa's ball into the box will be dealt with. Stretch there, Norway. The ball comes back in. It's energetic from 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰.
Good defending though by 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Just stood her ground, did enough to put her off. Solid defending.
Prior to the win over the Philippines, Norway had gone 5 games without a win at World Cups, their longest ever run without a victory. It sort of highlights the problems that they've had. They breezed through qualifying, but it's been at the tournaments where they've been a bit of a letdown, going back to 2022, last year's European Championships. They certainly flattered to deceive. And they haven't been particularly inspiring at this World Cup either. Today's a different day, but the 2 matches at the start of the tournament were described as devastating results by 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, especially that defeat to New Zealand. Hasegawa doing brilliantly. Japan getting out, and up to Tanaka. Norway scampering back into position. Junendo. hardly mentioned 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 all game. Just sits at the back of the defence, marshals it perfectly. He's got two rather useful lieutenants either side of it. Japan really under the cosh. Returning the score on Norway here. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 being backed up by Endo. Didn't spot that she was there. Endo's attempt at winning the ball was interceded by 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, but she's won the throw-in. Endo.
Such patient play by Japan, not forcing it, not being concerned about not getting into that final third, not getting into that penalty box, just biding their time, waiting for Norway to give them the opportunity, to give them the gaps that they can play in.
Endo. Straight to 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓴𝓼. One back by Nagano. Feisty as ever. The squeeze is on from Japan. Next goal is incredibly important in this game. Japan get it, you feel it's game over. Norway get it, it really is game on. We may end up having extra time. Away.
Norway can't get hold of the ball at the moment. They've got every single player back almost within their final third, defending at the moment, staying organised within that structure, but it does mean when you regain the ball, it's hard to then counter and cause problems for that Japanese back line.
And cleared away by Maren Mjelde. First substitutions of the night, and then Norwegian substitutions. And off comes Emilie Havik. We haven't seen much of over the course of the 63 minutes we've had so far. Karina Davik, a regular scorer for her club 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 in Norway. Didn't have the greatest time when she went to PSG or Wolfsburg, but thrives for her country. And 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓴𝓼 is off. And Frida Maanum, who's vital for club and country usually, just signed a new contract with Arsenal. And she had a couple of really good nights in the Champions League. Is also on. What do you make of those changes, Siobhan?
But Maanum's a very talented midfielder. Frustrating for 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓴𝓼. The brilliant assist for the goal. And then the error for Japan's goal. So she'll be frustrated to be leaving the pitch with that, the last contribution that she's made. Timely for me that we still haven't seen the introduction of Ada Hegerberg.
When do you risk it? Cross into the box towards 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰.
They're still close to potentially having to play extra time. She may be fit to play 30 minutes, but if they get it even and it goes to extra time, is she fit enough to play an hour's worth of football? It's a risk. But if you're going out of the tournament, is it one you're willing to take?
Get to extra time, you do have 6 substitutions, so you may well keep one back so that she can come on now and then you can replace her again if necessary. Miyazawa. Trying to curl one in from distance.
Yeah, look, I think if you're going out the tournament, Hegerberg's a player that you need to bring on if she can give you something. She might not be a fit Hegerberg, but she's still a goal scorer and she's extremely talented.
It's 25 minutes from the end of the match. It's now or never really, isn't it, in terms of Norway, although they will feel they've got a few more minutes yet before they get to that sort of desperation stakes, but it may take her a while just to feel her way into the game.
We tend to have 10 minutes added on time at the end of the game anyway, so
I told you, get used to it.
Still have a while.
Get used to it. That's going to be the norm now. We're getting more money for money anyway. That's the case. Endo darting down that left-hand side. And you may see a proliferation of yellow cards up and down the country today if you're going out to watch an EFL game. The referees clamping down on all sorts of bad behaviour. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 plotting. What next? Miyazawa. Again, Norway, even from a goal kick like that, they cannot get out their own half at this moment in time. Right now, 𝓣𝓲𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 chasing down into the right corner. As a result of 𝓣𝓲𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 coming on, Caroline Graham Hansen has gone out to the left-hand side. He's been operating on the right. There's space here for Japan to attack. And Tanaka is running in behind. Just didn't quite get hold of it. The idea was right. Tuva Hansen under pressure.
Brilliant vision from the through ball. It was from Endo, who we know time and time again plays those balls round that outside, delivers the ball, finds the player. Tanaka just couldn't quite get that first touch to bring it under control.
Sophie Roman-Haug struggling after this incident. You just saw just a little bit left on her by 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Unintentional, I think. Right on the side of the ankle, and that is sore. That's not a nice place to feel a stud.
No, it definitely isn't. As you said, unintentional, but doesn't make it hurt any less. And how thin these boots are these days, you feel everything. If 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 needed a reason to bring on Hegerberg, an injury to her current number 9 could be the one.
Expectations in Norway were never really as high as before because of that humiliating experience at the Euros. They went through a major change after that, though. They sacked Martin Sjögren. And 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 have made them a little bit more cynical, a bit more pragmatic. They've got to try and find a way to fashion more attacking opportunities here if they want to stay in this World Cup. There's one-way traffic at the moment. Endo. Nagano. Endo again. It's movement inside the area. It's a decent ball in. Mjelde read it well. Roman-Haug fighting with it. It's a Norwegian ball.
Haug at that point, then Norway's furthest forward player, and look how deep she's having to come to get on the ball.
And they are going to make a change now. Rico Ueki is coming on for Japan. Scored against Spain, scored a penalty against Zambia in the 11th minute of injury time. And all round was just a superb number 9 in that game against Spain. Held the ball up brilliantly. Tanaka. Miyazawa. Threading the ball through. Gino just couldn't quite reach it. It's a great bit of play by Japan. A super ball from Miyazawa.
It's a brilliant through ball from Miyazawa. Time to perfection, waited to perfection. Gino just couldn't get the touch on it. And those were the balls against Spain that everything was going perfectly. They were being converted. They were being ruthless. Japan have played well today, but they haven't quite had that edge that they had against Spain.
Hasegawa, who I think has been brilliant in the heart of midfield today, winning balls back, tigerishly hunting in that middle area of the pitch. He didn't start the game against Spain, came on as a second-half substitute. Most of the World Cup wins that Japan have fashioned over the course of their World Cup career have been narrow margins, which inevitably means late tension amongst their supporters. But in order for tension to be created, Norway have got to get the ball. And look at that from the last 10 minutes. Domination. Japan haven't conceded more than one goal in any of the last 10 matches since they were beaten by England in November. Just a little pause for you all to guess at home. Tanaka. Miyazawa. Faced up by 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 and finding space for the cross anyway. It's in towards 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Engen just managed to backpedal. Graham Hansen struggling to get away once again from Hana Takahashi.
Good defending at the back post there by Engen. Again, comfortable possession by Japan, just moving the ball around with patience, working their opportunities, getting the good deliveries whipped in into the box.
Like-for-like change. Mina Tanaka off and Rico Ueki on.
If you're a Norwegian player that has been working tirelessly to press this Japanese side and needs to now come out to score a goal, the last thing you want to see is Ueki entering the pitch. It's
amazing, isn't it? You know, and they all understand their roles and responsibilities. They've all had quite a lot of game time. I think it's only Micah Hamana who hasn't had any game time as an outfield player in this team. It's been a totally collegiate approach by the Japanese. And look at Ueki, who's making an impact already. Brilliant work from her. She's got Miyazawa waiting in the centre. And the header by 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 goes back to her goalkeeper. And there was a heart-in-the-mouth moment there for the Norwegian defence. What an introduction.
Fantastic play by Ueki, tireless running, which she did for Spain, did for Japan against Spain, and she started again. And I'd like to say that 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 knew exactly what she was doing there. A composed header back to her goalkeeper. No hearts in mouth for Norway there.
Absolutely. I'm sure that no one panicked. 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Bit of space for Graham Hansen. Oh, she slipped, trying to get the better of 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. It is a corner, and we are going to see Ada Hegerberg in the next few moments for Norway.
Be interesting to see if she leaves Haug on as well.
She does. Haug is staying on. And off comes Tuva Hansen. Pretty sure that Ada Hegerberg is not going to play at left back. So it will mean a rejig. It might mean that everybody shifts back and Ingrid Engen drops into the back four.
I'd like to see them go for it. Play three, keep three up.
They might play three with Engen dropping into the back three and 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷 and Reiten as the wing backs. Let's see what happens. But Hegerberg is on. And she's in that train on the right of the penalty spot. It's aimed in towards Norman Howe. Here's our winning the header away by Pagino.
I like the fact that Reece has done it now. Too often managers leave it to the last 5 minutes, the last 10 minutes. She's got an opportunity here to have time to make an impact in this game.
Top attacking players on that pitch now for Norway. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, Hegerberg, Graham Hansen. Engen hasn't got into the back three yet. Flick on towards Hegerberg by 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. That will be a danger. Her little flick-ons so good in the air, trying to release their star player. But as they go for it, there might be more spaces going forward. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. We didn't realise that coming behind her was 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Play on, says the referee. 15 minutes to go. Header by Sophie Roman-Howell.
With the double central aerial threat Norway now have in the box, I wouldn't be surprised to see more deliveries like this from wide areas. Wrighton potentially playing more as a left wing back with that back three. Roman-Howell and Hegerberg are going to offer a different option centrally.
Norway desperate to find a way back into the game. Japan in front, on the verge of a place in the quarter-finals. Graham Hansen trying to tease away into the box. Oh, it comes back, and 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 sends it wide. A lucky bounce of the ball, an unfortunate finish. So close to a Norwegian equaliser.
So close, and it's the work rate and skill and technician. Graham Hansen gets the lucky break. She just drags it wide of the post. Needs to be on target there, needs to be making the goalkeeper make a save. Can she deflect into dangerous areas? Can she win her team a corner?
𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 trying to spiral away from Miyazawa. Endo, Hasegawa, Miyazawa fighting for it. There's a bit of desperation now about Norway, and a bit more intent as well. And the effort smacked in by 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 is stopped as it's straight down the throat of Ayaka Yamashita, who's had barely anything to do all game.
Much more positive play from Norway. Marden will be frustrated with that. She's got the ability to pick out those corners. But it all starts with Graham Hansen again. She's key to getting Norway back into this match. Just snatched at it. Didn't get the connection that she wanted.
Well, that's what you need from your goalkeeper, isn't it? When you've hardly had to do anything throughout the course of the match, but you're there and solid and ready.
And you launch a counter-attack to the other end of the pitch and win your team a free kick to release the pressure.
Minutes plus stoppage time to play. Hasegawa. Wrighton is playing more on that left-hand side now as a result of the changes that 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 has made. It's still occupying the base of that midfield. Japan will need all that energy that they showed in the Spain game when they didn't have possession of the football to try and hunt and prevent Norway from carving out opportunities if they're to see this game out. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, the first ever West Ham United player to score at a Women's World Cup. 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 running through the centre, and she's going to get there first. It's 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. It's 3-1 Japan. They humbled Spain, and now they are packing Norway off home. It's the 5th goal of the tournament for Hinata Miyazawa, and it's classic Japan.
It's absolutely brilliant from Miyazawa. See her there being congratulated by her teammates, but the run is timed to perfection. On the back shoulder, the sublime ball cuts through the middle of that Norwegian back line, and she was making no mistake from there, slotting it into the corner beyond Mikkelsen, and potentially putting the game beyond reach of Norway.
Eyeing up the quarter-finals, Miyazawa might be eyeing up the Golden Boot. Japan lead 3-1. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. Shimizu running on the right-hand side and coming up on the outside.
That Norway knew it would be a risk to change the formation, to go more attacking, especially up against Japan. But as a player, I'd rather go for it and lose 4-1 than not know.
For Gino. Offside flag has gone up belatedly over on the far side.
I do know, by the way, it is currently only 3-1. But what I'm saying is the fact that I'd rather go out there and know that we've given our all, we've tried to get back into the game, than to concede another 1 goal, another 2 goals, another 3 goals, and just know that you've given your all.
You might risk losing another goal, but you might drag yourselves back into it. There's no right way of going out of a World Cup. You're either out or you're not.
But you'd rather know that you tried.
Yeah. And they just haven't had enough to threaten that Japanese defence. They're so well organised, Japan, that they just keep you at arm's length. They don't let you really get to the edge of your penalty area. They've had 1 cross into the box, which Reiten has scored from, but apart from that, there's been hardly anything for Yamashita to do. Here's Hegerberg.
You're right, they've been brilliant. In every game they've played so far in this tournament, they've been asked different questions, different teams have played differently against them, and every time they have come up with the answer.
This joint was most goals for Japan at a single Women's World Cup.
By the performances they're putting in at the moment, she's going to have a few more opportunities to score some more as well.
It's a record that she now jointly shares with the great Amari Sawa, who played in 6 World Cups for Japan. There might be more here for Japan. Regino looking for Miyazawa. Miyazawa, well, she should have taken it on herself. I think she probably knew she might have strayed offside. Well, that was another big chance.
Everything else she's touched so far this tournament has turned to gold. Very tight, that line could potentially have just strayed, but the first touch just wasn't up to her standards. What we've come to expect for such a brilliant player.
Well, who will they meet in the next round of the competition? You'll find out tomorrow on ITV1 and STV, 9:30, Sweden against the USA. The winner plays Most likely Japan now, the winner of this. And tomorrow's a big day on ITV. We've got live coverage of the FA Community Shield, Arsenal against Manchester City, 3:15 ITV1 and STV1. Manchester City have just announced the signing of 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰, the Croatian defender. I'm not sure whether he will be in the matchday squad tomorrow. That might be a bit of a rush, but certain that we'll get more from Pep Guardiola about him and how he plans to integrate him into the team over the course of the season.
Talking of getting information from managers, look like 𝓣𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 there giving some instructions to her team. You think they've got to go for it all out now.
Look at that ball from 𝓣𝓱𝓪𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰. What composure for a teenager to play that so beautifully into the path of Hinata Miyazawa.
We've spoken about it already, the talent that this Japanese side has, not just on the pitch, but on the bench as well, and they're all so young.
I mean, even Saki Kumagai is only 32 years of age. She won the World Cup in 2011. Hasegawa, she's going to go for goal. Never really troubling Aurora Mikkelsen.
Slightly audacious attempt. Can't blame her for it though, they're playing with such confidence. She's got the technical ability to do it as well, just didn't quite connect this time. See, even there, we're in the 87th minute. And Ueki there charging down Mikkelsen. The work rate has been phenomenal.
Thea Bjalde replaced for the final few minutes. 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 coming on to replace it. Might be just a little bit too little too late now for Norway. We mentioned how ruthless Japan have been in their game with Spain. They've been pretty ruthless in front of goal again tonight. Miyazawa eyeing up another opportunity, setting it back for Ueki. Well, we're going to see more of Japan, and I think we're all happy about it. He's done a terrific job.
He has, and they're one of the teams that I've enjoyed watching at the tournament so far. And what a mouth-watering quarter-final to come with either Sweden or USA.
Oh dear. On the escape, 𝓳𝓸𝓲𝓷𝓲𝓷𝓰 was stricken. Ueki. Hasegawa, who whenever you think she can't get to a ball, always does. Here she's going again. And it's tipped over the bar by Aurora Mikkelsen. Another decent bit of play from the Manchester City midfield player.
She's so technical. That ball was creeping into that top corner. Mikkelsen did well to get her hand to it and clear it to safety. But a fourth goal would be nothing less than Japan deserved from this performance today.
Didn't get to the quarterfinals in France 4 years ago. They were desperate to get back to that stage this time around. That's going to happen. And Futoshi Ikeda does need credit. He led Japan to the Under-20s World Cup win 5 years ago, and he has made some big calls when selecting this squad. He didn't include one of their star players in Mana Iwabuchi, but he's got the balance just right. A bit dicey for Mikkelsen. Good turn by Miyazawa. Put on by Ōta. Held further forward again. She's so good in the air, Ōta. This is why they brought her on for the final few minutes to try and turn the tide. How many additional minutes are going to be played? Graham Hansen could set up a grandstand finish here. Across by Hall, the header, and it's squeezed off the line by Yamashita. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Back in it goes again. What a save from Sabek. Yamashita called upon in the last moment and producing the goods. It's back in again. Ōta is up there. And Japan escape.
That was an unbelievable save from Yamashita, virtually clawing the ball out of the net.
As a goalkeeper, you must have been impressed with that.
Most definitely. Big saves in key moments will win you tournaments.
To set a grandstand finish for the final few moments of this match. Yamashita with a brilliant save. This is it.
Fantastic save. The agility, the power, the strength.
Back in again. Roman Hart trying to keep hold of the ball on that far side. Right, gives it away. Chance for Japan to break. Take the pressure off the defence again. Hasegawa. Look at the movement of Ueki in the centre. England got a little bit fortunate. Iwasawa might still get there. Graham Hansen, knowing that the World Cup dream is dissipating for Norway once again. They're going to go out early from another major tournament.
You look at Norway's team on paper, the strength of that squad. They've got big players playing for big teams. As you said, they never get that knockout game nailed to perfection. There's always something missing to prevent them getting over the line. This time, part of that was Yamashita.
Ueki. Miyazawa. Hasegawa. No need for Japan to force the issue now. They can keep the ball with 2 minutes of stoppage time still to play. When they played in February against France, Guru Reiten said that they were difficult and annoying to play against now, Norway. And it hasn't been simple for Japan. They've had to work for their victory here. There hasn't been enough craft in the forward areas for Norway to test that Japanese defence. And the only time they have, this happened. Look at that.
It's a brilliant save. Keeps her team with that comfortable lead as well. That goal goes in. These 5 minutes turn slightly more panicky for Japan.
And this will be their 4th straight victory in the tournament, the 7th win in 8 matches for a side that are going to be difficult to stop for the USA or Sweden. They're adaptable, they're flexible, they've got depth in talent, and they're likeable. Likeable because they're humble, likeable because they put the team first. There's a cohesiveness about the group, and some of the football has been sumptuous.
I think one of the biggest things as well, they haven't been picking up yellow cards. That can mean a lot in these knockout stages. If you lose players from getting double yellow cards, it can really damage your chances. But one, Japan have got the ability to make changes like for like and keep the talent. And two, they're not likely to miss players through picking up subsequent yellow cards.
Flick on by Ōta. Hegerberg sending it wide. Graham Hansen in towards that near post. Kumagai was there to get it away. Look how tightly packed now Japan are inside their own penalty area. Graham Hansen's delivery once again towards the far post. It's headed down. Kumagai, did it hit her hand? Well, the referee was the subject of multiple appeals. Engen couldn't control it. And they've got far too many players forward, and it's a massive overload for Japan. It's 4-on-2. Miyazawa keeps hold of it enough to give it to Nagano. Look at Ueki in the centre. It's for Gino, for Japan, and blasts it. Waste it, really. Not that it'll matter. Japan earn a place in the World Cup quarter-finals once again. They missed out 4 years ago, but they have come back retooled and rearmed with tactical discipline, a team spirit and no shortage of goals. Ruthless finishing once again from the Japanese. The tournament's brightest stars set up a meeting with either the USA or Sweden in the last 8 of the Women's World Cup. Analysis on the way with Eni Aluko and Rachel Corsie in the next few moments. But Japan are through, Norway are out. It's finished Japan 3, Norway 1.